there's a social background to Gen Zs.
Yes.
I'll take you back to 2014, 2015.
Yes.
When somebody who thought he was important decided to grab a school's land in Langata.
Yeah.
Next to Weston Hotel.
Yes.
And there were young people who were in Standard 7 who were 13 years, 14 years.
Who saw it?
They were the ones who pushed the wall down, if you remember. That wall was brought down by children in a primary school.
Yeah.
10 years later, 2023, 2024,
yeah.
those young people are either 23 or 24. Those are the Gen Zs. Walianja tear gas wakiwa, you know, I saw a Gen Z smoking a tear gas canister.
Wow. Yeah.
And those are people who, during their time in primary school, if they were the ones in Langata, walionja tear gas wakiwa standard 7, standard 8.
Wow.
So they have grown up. And then they were singing Yote Yawezekana.
Yeah.
And they were also singing Haki Yetu.
Yeah.
So they learned how to sing Haki Yetu
yeah.
in primary school.
Yeah.
The truth is this. There's a generation who gave birth to these ones,
yeah.
whose marriages have been horrible.
Yeah.
Our parents would fight, but they would hide.
Yeah.
Our parents kind of kept their problems
to themselves.
Yeah. Today, a mother will insult the husband in front of the children.
Yeah.
A husband might splat the children, the mother in front of the children.
Yeah.
Family disputes have gone to court.
Yeah.
Their dirty linen has been, if for the lack of better word, imeanikwa in public.
Yeah.
So this
public includes their children, their young children.
People will hate
the
institution of marriage.
Yeah.
And then Gen Zs are also asset light. If you talk to a Gen Z, they'll tell you, I don't need to own an apartment. I can rent one. I don't need to own a car. I can either hire a car or I can use Uber. Okay? The Gen Zs don't want a television. They would rather get a house with a television ready. They are asset light. And they also, in terms of relationships, they don't carry baggage. We don't agree now. We were not born together. You go on with your life, I go on with mine. I think our generation was taught to live with heartache. You have a horrible partner, anakusumbua, you are still there, you are number one is to leave these parties headed by these octogenarians, these old people who think in tribal lines.
Yeah.
Because I cannot continue saying that I'm the leader of tomorrow or the leader of this country in 2027 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I am in a party headed by people who talks of our region. I cannot.
My tribe.
And that's why I'm leaving Azimio. I'm leaving Azimio because even when they talk about 2027, they are talking about this block of votes, this block of votes, this block of votes, the Western region, nini, nini. And we are trying to move this country to where we shall have a conversation about so-and-so is such a meticulous leader.
Yeah.
He could be from the Ogiek community, which has 200,000 people, or the Taita who are not so many, but he's a good leader. And that's what we are vouching for, and that's what we are dying for. And that cannot continue for as long as I am in this space crowded by people who have a 1974 thinking.
Yes.
And I've always told Kenyans, the cows, ng'ombe za Masai, they will never accept to be led by the most stupid cow. The bell is always placed on the most brilliant cow. And because the most brilliant cow knows where the pastures are, it knows where the water is, it knows where the hyenas pass. So the most brilliant cow with the bell on it will lead these other animals to green pastures. It will lead them to where there is water. In the evening, it will lead them on a path that does not have hyenas. Now, we took the bell and placed it on the damnedest cows in the herd. And then they are taking us to a place where it is dry and there is no grass. They are taking us to the waters that are sewer waters. They are taking us through a path that has got hyenas and lions and leopards, and we come back home killed and scathed. That is the problem we have in this country. So Gen Zs are saying that we want to remove the bells from the bulls that do not know the way. In fact, they are even heifers, and place those bells on the bulls that know the way, the bulls that know where the pastures are and where the water is green.
Hello viewers, and welcome again to our show. This day I told you it's a different show. We're having a guest. Maybe you've not been having this kind of conversation before. And our show is also live on TikTok with a special guest. That is Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. Fanya Mambo Kinuthia is a political analyst, is a lawyer, He's a supporter of Kenya. He loves Kenya. And so we needed to have him today here. Very excited this morning. Kinuthia, Mambo.
Yes.
How are you again?
I'm very well, thank you.
Now, we've just talked about the matters of state in our country. Let us now talk about Gen Zs. Who is Gen Z? Who is Gen Z to Kenyans? Most of them are just saying Gen Z. They don't even know who Gen Z is.
I think to start with, Gen Z is an age demographic. Yeah, between this age and... But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is for people to know that every generation in this country has made a contribution
in their own way,
in one way or another, to where Kenya is. I mean, Raila Amolo Odinga in the 1982s, thereabout, there was a lot of violent upheavals. 89, there was a crop of young people who did something. Around 1992, when you were hiring 91, 92, Sabasaba and all with Matiba and the others, there was a crop of young people who were on the streets and they made a lot of noise to Moi. 97, the same. Orengo led a group of very many other younger people than himself to what was then being called Mageuzi. 202, there was that Kibaki moment when people were talking of the Unbogabo spirit. Unbogabo was by Gidigidi Majimaji, who was then, we were in school together at Aquinas High School. So it's a term for a generation of young people who always at their point in time, at their helm, when they are very young and very strong and very able, usually bring about a political change in the country. It has happened in all those years I've told you, and even now it is happening.
Or those are the Gen Zs. And now, what brought about all this? How comes we have had the generation before Gen Zs, I think that's your generation. How come we never had them react, or they were reacting in a different way? What pushed these Gen Zs to this point?
And
why Gen Zs?
I think people don't understand. I have just told you in 1992 when things were really bad, really, really bad. In 1992, Moi was... He alitawala Kenya, hakuongoza, alitawala, he ruled this nation. There was a group of young people who came out on the streets and they went for Sabasaba in their thousands, and many of them were shot. Those were the Gen Zs of that time. I have told you around 1997, Orengo was moving with the younger people who were saying Mageuzi, Mageuzi, Mageuzi. They did a lot of work. 202, when people were seeing yote yawezekana bila Moi. I remember a young man who went and slapped the then Kivuitu, may he rest in peace, for failing to announce the results in good time. And you remember how Uhuru Park was, and people were seeing yote yawezekana bila Moi. The young people in that time also were revolutionary in a way. Those were millennials then when they were in their 20s. And it has happened over the ages. But now when you have a government that has literally made life very difficult for people, then you will see an upheaval. Upheavals don't just come. They come at a time when governments become very oppressive. And the first people who do not stand up for that are the younger people. But there's something I want to tell you. There's a social background to Gen Zs. I'll take you back to 2014, 2015. When somebody who thought he was important decided to grab a school's land in Langata, next to Weston Hotel. And there were young people who were in Standard 7 who were 13 years, 14 years.
Who saw it?
They were the ones who pushed the wall down, if you remember. That wall was brought down by children in a primary school. 10 years later, 2023, 2024, those young people are either 23 or 24. Those are the Gen Zs. Walianja tear gas wakiwa, you know, I saw a Gen Z smoking a tear gas canister. And those are people who, during their time in primary school, if they were the ones in Langata, walionja tear gas wakiwa standard 7, standard 8. So they have grown up, and then they were singing yote yawezekana. And they were also singing haki yetu. So they learned how to sing haki yetu in primary school. Remember, these are the same generation that has been involved in a lot of banning of learning institutions. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that was their way of expressing their anger. They used to ban school and nothing would happen. Unajua sisi tulikuwa ukichoma shule. Ile kiboko unapatana nayo. Ile punishment unapatana nayo. In fact, our generation must have been very resilient. So this other generation of the Gen Z have probably done worse things than ourselves in schools, but they were not punished as horribly as we were punished. So because they got away with it, then,
Yeah.
even now when they come to government, they have a lot more courage to face government.
Yeah.
And then times have changed. You know, the power of having a mobile phone with a camera on it changes a
Yeah.
lot of things.
Yeah.
Because even the way a policeman will
Technology.
treat you and so on, they
Yeah.
are also thinking that it's recorded.
Yeah.
And government knows that even if they ban the press, they'll not take away all the iPhones that are
Yeah.
in the maandamano.
Correct.
So I must give credit to these young people. They've done well, they fought well, but let them also know that the generations before them were not sleeping.
Wow.
They fought.
Mimi, what I love most about these young people, our children, it's the fact that we are tribalists, of which that is a major, huge thing in our country. They don't know much about these tribes. We are cocooned. We have been growing up being told you are Kikuyu, you are Ameru, you are Luo. These people do not talk about tribes. They are also talking about being leaderless. Like all of them are taking part. They are responsible. They take responsibility, all of them. I think that is something very special. I like them. If it's the way they grew up, without a lot of punishment, like you were saying, as we could be beaten even by our parents. And actually, they are very fearless. They even say it. And they say the only thing they fear is hot porridge and marriage. Why do you think they fear marriage?
Add to that list, they fear lack of bundles. And the phone is always on 80%.
Yeah.
If the phone is at 60%,
Yeah.
that's a catastrophe about to happen. So
Yeah.
the phone has to be fully charged.
Yeah, yeah.
I think...
Why
they
do
are
you
not-
think
they are not afraid
kwanza
of
the
marriage.
part they are saying it?
The truth
Why
is
do you
this.
think?
The truth is this. There's a generation who gave birth to these ones,
Yeah,
whose marriages have been horrible.
yeah,
Our parents would fight, but they would hide.
yeah.
Our parents kind of kept their problems
To themselves.
to themselves.
Yeah,
Today, a mother will insult the husband in front of the children.
Yeah.
A husband might splat the children, the mother in front of the children.
yeah,
Family disputes have gone to court.
Yeah.
Their dirty linen has been, if for the lack of better word, imeanikwa in
yeah,
public.
yeah.
So these
And
people
this
will
public
see-
includes
Yeah.
their children,
Yeah,
their
so
young
these people
children.
will
Yeah.
hate
Yeah,
the institution of marriage.
yeah,
And then Gen Zs are also asset light. If you talk to a Gen Z, they'll tell you, I don't need to own an apartment. I can rent one. I don't need to own a car. I can either hire a car or I can use Uber. Okay? The Gen Zs don't want a television. They would rather get a house with a television ready. They are asset light. And they also, in terms of relationships, they don't carry baggage. We don't agree now. We were not born together. You go on with your life, I go on with mine. I think our generation was taught to live with heartache. You have a horrible partner, anakusumbua, you are still there, you are I saw one go for an interview, and he was asked, so are you willing to work under pressure? He said, I'm here to work, not to die for the company. Very clearly, I'm not here to die for the company.
Yeah.
I'm just here to work. So our generation was raised different. Ulambua, vumilia. Yeah, husband anakuchapa, vumilia.
I know.
Theirs is, I don't like him. He insulted me once I'm leaving. So, and we have to appreciate that that's the space they are in, and that's the future, and there's nothing we can do about it. We
Wow.
cannot instill our moral values or standards on them right now.
Do you think, we as parents, because we are the parents of Gen Z, where did we fail? Where did for us to lose the cultural morals of like, yeah, hakuna kuvumilia, there's nothing. Of course, kuvumilia, even me, I wouldn't tell anyone to kuvumilia. But then, how come? Is it because maybe we are more enlightened, maybe we are more educated, or what could be? Because the parents have a lot of influence on how their children are.
I think if today you walked into a standard club
Yeah,
where alcohol is a little bit more expensive,
yes,
you'll find people between 40 and 55.
yeah,
Those are the parents of the Gen Zs.
yeah,
And those ones are thoroughly drinking every other weekend
yeah,
and finding their vehicles in the middle of the roundabouts and all.
yeah.
They themselves are not very good role models.
That's where
Let's
I was
start
coming.
there.
Yeah,
They themselves have not been very good role models,
yeah,
so they are to blame. But also, we must give credit to what these parents have done.
yeah,
They are the ones who've told their children that it doesn't matter whether you are Kikuyu, Meru, Kamba, Kisii, or Luo.
yeah,
They are the ones who've instilled that in their children.
yeah,
By taking them, of course, to schools where they find that the difference between a Luo and a Kikuyu, apart from the name, really,
it's not even there.
we eat the same food.
Yeah.
We go to the washroom the same way and
Yeah.
everything. So when the children interact with these people and they start saying, ati munasemanga Wakisii ni wabaya, ama Wajaluo ni wabaya.
They don't get it.
And they look at it and they're like, what is wrong with them?
Yeah.
What is bad about this people?
And you can't tell what is bad.
There's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Wow.
So these parents have had something good they've done.
Yeah.
They've made these children understand
Yeah.
that there's nothing wrong with someone coming from another community.
Yeah. So, like...
And they've also intermarried. You see, at our parents' stage, there was a lot of, you must bring somebody from our community. At our age now, there's so many people who've married from other communities.
Yes, yes.
You have a Taita marrying a Luya.
Because you meet in schools,
then you
in
look
colleges.
at the difference between Taita Taveta and Luya land is quite a distance.
Yeah.
But they've married.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so how you come and tell a child now, he asks you now, if I hate Taitas, my mother is Taita. If I hate Luyas, my father is Luya. And probably my sister will marry a Kikuyu.
Or you live in Nairobi, or you live in other big cities or towns. Maybe you come from Meru, you come from Kisumu, and then someone is insisting you must marry someone from our community. In the community where you are living in the estate, those people are not even there. Your neighbors are the communities that you're with. I think that also.
And also, if we copy the example of Tanzania, Tanzania has 102 tribes. And their president has never come from the Chaga, which is the most populous tribe.
The smaller one.
Yeah. They come from the smaller tribes.
And they are also having good thing about Tanzanians, even religion. They're having Muslims and Christians. And you find that if one time the president is a Christian, the deputy is a Muslim.
But
when
those ones, on that one, they don't have a choice. 50% of Tanzania is Muslim. And 50% is Christian. It's almost half. It's almost balanced. So they do not have a choice on that. It's even if they were to vote naturally, their population is almost balanced.
But it's not even that. I think the arrangement of who becomes the deputy, who becomes the president. When the president is a Muslim, always a Christian has to be a deputy.
Yeah, and the vice versa.
And the vice versa.
Yes.
So I don't even think it's a matter of numbers, because you don't vote for the deputy and then you vote separately for the president. Now, like just during these mandamanos, there was a story going around online. The way I'm trying to ascertain what you're saying about Gen Z's living free-spirited life. Yes. They just met during mandamanos, and now they are planning to marry.
Yes. So I think they were saving numbers. Maandamano 1, Maandamano 2. There's a gentleman who was joking and saying he saved a lady, Sheila Maandamano.
Yeah.
So another one saved Anthony Maandamano.
Yes.
So, I mean, you save someone, like, depending on where you meet. So, and some even met at the burials of now the ones who had died.
Yeah.
So you write there, Samuel, Maandamano burial Fulani. Yeah.
And now the relationship continues. And that's it. And they are Kenyans. Yes. I think that's a good thing also. How about them now? The former arranged marriages, did you think they are under positive effect? Yes, they did.
You see,
can you say?
Number one, for anybody who's done counseling psychology, I haven't. But I interact a lot with them, because when we do at my farm, when we are helping people mediate their disputes, sometimes you look at a couple and you say, these ones first need counseling. So you send them for counseling. And one of the things that counselors have told me is that a child who was raised by the father only may not make a very good husband or wife. And a child who was raised by the mother only may not make a very good spouse to another person. They lack something most of the time. And sometimes you see a woman responding to a husband in a way that you feel, ouch, that is harsh or rude. But they didn't grow up with a father figure. And they never saw their mother relating with a father figure. And naturally, that person is not responsive in a good way. And when they go for premarital counseling, that's when you discover that what happens in your family when you're growing up is going to affect how you will relate with your future husband or your future wife. Now, arranged marriages also had that aspect of ile familia inawachawi. And you may not know, but they have that history. They'll tell you, that one we don't want. They'll tell you that family has a history of violence in the family or divorces. You know, maybe we had cancer, I don't know. or maybe we never did. But they would say, ile family, kuna ugonjwa fulani, imekuwa ikisumbua your family. They usually die at a certain age, hereditary. So they would say our child will not marry into that family. So they had like a book of their own in their minds of how they had defined every family. They would say in the family, you have viongozi. If you marry into that family, there is leadership in that family.
Yeah.
So the arranged marriages helped in the sense that there are things that parents knew because, you know, the community was intertwined. There were things they knew about certain families that the children did not know. Today, if I come and say I want to marry Jackie, the only thing I know is that this is my mom, she's so cool, this is my dad, he's so nice. But then with time, you get to realize this is probably even a stepfather or a stepmother. And so it helps to know what kind of family a child is coming from. Do
you remember, I think like 2 months ago, we had a case going along online about a sister and a brother. I don't know if you saw that story. They shared a father. And eventually now they encompass KU together. And now they are boyfriend and girlfriend, and they even sleep together. And people were like racing, people were so annoyed online. They even came to Obina's show, and the people were very disappointed. I think shortly we will talk about the single parenthood and also men in marriage. So meanwhile, can you look at our agencies? Because a lot of what is going on today about talk to agencies, tell them the country is going to burn, parents, play your role. So what would you tell the parents of these agencies? What kind of talk should they have with their children? If they can.
Sorry, I have interacted with Gen Zs a lot.
Yes.
They have played their part. It is incumbent upon the millennials and the generation X before the millennials to come up and say, wait a minute, what is our contribution to this? The Gen Zs have done the street fights, they've done their part. Now the millennials, in my thinking, should have come up and said, let us be the bridge between the thinking of the Gen Zs, because we are very close to them, and the generation X and the baby boomers.
The baby boomers.
If we do that, then what will happen? There will be a harmony. Because let me tell you, the parents want a good country. The uncles, aunties want a good country.
Yes.
So do the young people. The problem is there's a disconnect on how, not what. We all agree on what we want.
Yes.
Let us have a harmony on how we shall get what we want.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes. So how would you get that? You being a millennial and many other millennials out there, now the Gen Zs have played their part, and the millennials would want to play the middle person, the mediator. How talk to the millennials
which I have done, number one, is to leave these parties headed by these octogenarians, these old people who think in tribal lines. Because I cannot continue saying that I'm the leader of tomorrow or the leader of this country in 2027 or whatever. And I am in a party headed by people who talks of our region. I cannot.
My tribe.
And that's why I'm leaving Azimio. I'm leaving Azimio because even when they talk about 2027, they are talking about this block of votes, this block of votes, this block of votes, the Western region, nini. And we are trying to move this country to where we shall have a conversation about so-and-so is such a meticulous leader. He could be from the Ogiek community, which has 200,000 people, or the Taita, who are not so many, but he's a good leader. And that's what we are vouching for, and that's what we are dying for. And that cannot continue for as long as I am in this space crowded by people who have a 1974 thinking. So what are we going to do? We are organizing ourselves into a formation that you will soon see, and we will launch, and we shall have all the young people join this formation. And now we shall go together with a 2024 thinking, a thinking of he's not Luya, he's not Luo, he's not Kisi, a thinking of this guy is so good in IT. Let's have it as minister in charge of IT. This guy is so good in communication. He should be the government spokesperson. So that is the tribe we are forming. It's the new tribe in Kenya, a tribe of people who are inspired by only one thing, meritocracy. That what makes us like you more than anybody else is because you are the best. Amongst us, you are the best. And I've always told Kenyans, the cows, ng'ombe za Masai, they will never accept to be led by the most stupid cow. The bell is always placed on the most brilliant cow. And because the most brilliant cow knows where the pastures are, it knows where the water is, it knows where the hyenas pass. So the most brilliant cow with a bell on it will lead these other animals to green pastures. It will lead them to where there is water. In the evening, it will lead them on a path that does not have hyenas. Now, we took the bell and placed it on the damnedest cows in the herd. And then they are taking us to a place where it is dry and there is no grass. They are taking us to the waters that are sewer waters. They are taking us through a path that has got hyenas and lions and leopards, and we come back home killed and scathed. That is the problem we have in this country. So Gen Zs are saying that we want to remove the bells from the bulls that do not know the way. In fact, they are even heifers, and place those bells on the bulls that know the way, the bulls that know where the pastures are and where the water is green. And those are the people that we want to lead this country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kinuthia, for that.
Asante.
Gen Zs, we are with you 1,000%. We having a country which is tribalist. I wouldn't say leaderless. We'll be having leaders, but leaders who understand the purpose of unity, having one Kenya. You don't look at somebody because of tribe, because of clan, because of gender. You give work to those people who are ready to work for Kenyans, people who can take responsibility. That was our talk today about our Gen Zs and the state of our country. Thank you so much.